what would strike us as unusual and even possibly shocking, very often there'd be a wax effigy, a likeness of the deceased prince or queen or sovereign on top of the coffin. And famous sculptors were commissioned to produce those wax likenesses.
And today we'll see the crown that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, wore at the coronation of George VI, and later slightly modified at the coronation of her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. And that will be on top of the coffin. The first cars leaving Buckingham Palace with those members of the royal family who are going to be following the procession. The Duke of Edinburgh, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of York, the Earl of Wessex, Prince Michael of Kent, the Duke of Gloucester, Viscount Linley, the Duke of Kent, the Right Honourable Sir Angus Ogilvie, we think, and Commodore Timothy Lawrence, husband of the Princess Royal. Well, if the Princess Royal is, and there she is in naval uniform, it's a victory for feminism. We've seen in the past century so many times just the men following the coffin and the women waiting in deeply veiled mourning weeds to watch it go past. And the Princess Royal actually asked if she could follow her grandmother's coffin like the others, and the Queen agreed. They go down Stableyard Road and turn again round to the right there to bring them along to the side of St. James's Palace. Someone either contemplating or perhaps catching this strong spring sunshine. And what a splendid sight. The King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery at the canter with their guns into Green Park. And there, during the procession of the lying in state, they will fire a gun every minute, 29 shots, every minute, from the moment the parade marches off till the moment it stops outside Westminster Hall. This is the drill that excites people at competitions when they undo these guns and carry them over an obstacle and reassemble them, and you can see the discipline that's gone into it. Perhaps I was thinking of the Royal Navy when I said they'd dismembered their guns. But anyway, this is a very fine discipline. And there they are, ranged right down Green Park. Hands raised to show them they're ready. The British Legion, their flags flying, and with black ribbons flying from them, and they'll lower the standards as they come past the cenotaph. And from the Royal British Legion back to Marlborough Road to the gun carriage waiting. Garrison Sergeant Major Perry Mason, the tall and distinguished figure on the left, who arranges and has arranged for years, has commanded these processions, and who orders around not just the troopers but the generals with infinite courtesy but absolute insistence that they obey his command and do it his way. And as a result, British ceremonial still has its reputation for being so good. He is shortly to retire. This is certainly the last of the really large parades that he will take command of. But we thought that was Perry Mason. I think this isn't Perry Mason. However, Perry Mason will be there. He was yesterday in Westminster Hall drilling the politicians, the Speaker and the Lord Chancellor and all the rest of them. A very fine sight it was too. Giving military signals to them and saying, close up and follow me, and can I have silence? And everybody doing it his way. 11:15. A quarter of an hour left now before this procession marches off. The cap orderly is carrying the bearskins for members of the bearer party. The bearer party will carry the coffin out, and they then escort the coffin down to Westminster Hall. They, of course, can't carry the coffin with their bearskins on, so they're carried separately, and then they're given them to put on for the march down to Westminster Hall, and then take them off again when they reach Westminster Hall and carry the coffin in. The mounted police detachment, the mounted police will be leading this procession. I was talking about who else will be in this procession after the members of the royal family, and it may not be possible to see them all, so perhaps it's a good moment just to say who will be there. There is, for instance, well, certainly Prince William, second in line to the throne, Prince Harry of Wales. And then there's going to be the Lord Chamberlain to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and the members of her staff, her equerries, her treasurer, private secretary. And there is, after that, the Chief of the Defence Staff, the Chief of the Air Staff, the Chief of the Naval Staff. You may catch sight of General Sir Michael Jackson, who represents the Chief of the General Staff. And the first members of the royal family coming out. The Prince of Wales going into the chapel, being greeted by the Right Reverend. There are the two sons, William and Harry, shaking hands with the Bishop of London, who's also the chaplain of the Queen's Chapel, the Duke of Kent. So they go inside the chapel, and that leaves space for the other members taking part in the procession to take their place. The bands have stopped playing. There's silence all around. As we wait now for the pallbearers, the chiefs of staff, to take up their position. The procession will be brought to attention. guns ready to fire their salute 10 minutes from now. And all the way down the Mall, the procession, which I said was turning right round to the left and coming up towards Horse Guards, and there you can see the mounted police in the front. And then it stretches right down to Marlborough Road. Garrison Sergeant Major Perry Mason, who will bring the parade to attention.
Steve, camera 3, this please.
Flying over Clarence House, still at half-mast, the Queen Mother's standard. Half of it a royal standard, the other half the bows and the lions. You can see perhaps the black and white part. The bows, which represent the Bowes family in simple heraldry, and the lions for the Lions family, the Bowes lions. And as she leaves the chapel, that standard will be lowered for the last time.
Royal Navy marching detachments, Guards Division bands, charge! Royal Navy marching detachments, slow! Arms!
Major General Redmond Watt, the General Officer commanding London District, on the left there, facing down towards where the coffin will be brought out, and with the aide-de-camp, the Deputy Commander and the Brigade Major of the Household Division. And they're facing the gun carriage, and behind the gun carriage, forming up there, the other members of the services, pallbearers, members of the Queen Mother's household, and behind them you can see the gold braid again of the Chief of the Defence Staff, Admiral Sir Michael Boyce, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Sir Peter Squire, Admiral Sir Nigel Essenhyde, the Chief of the Naval Staff, and General Sir Michael Jackson, representing the Chief of the General Staff, who takes his own position at the front of the procession.
We've got Royal Salute! Retake! Arms!
And so carefully this bearer party from the 1st Battalion of the Irish Guards place the coffin of the Queen Mother, who was their favourite, just as they were hers. Under the command of Captain Roberts, Company Sergeant Major Oswald, the 8 guardsmen who were chosen to form part of this bearer party. Prince of Wales in the uniform of an Admiral of the Fleet, who spoke so movingly about his grandmother in the days after her death, and who was obviously so very close to her and will miss her so much. The Princess Royal. And the crown with the Koh-i-Noor diamond at the top. Priceless diamond in the Maltese cross. Prince William standing behind his father. Prince Harry on the right there. Both of them hatless.
Royal Navy marching detachments and Guards Division bands will advance. About turn.
And so, in a moment, this great procession will be ready to make its stately, slow way to Westminster Hall.
Royal Navy marching detachment. Reverse arms.
A moment of great stillness outside the Queen's Chapel. The parade complete. The crown, which was made for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, for her coronation in 1937, the only one of the royal crowns set in platinum. And she wore it again, without the arches, at her daughter's coronation in 1953. And in 1 minute, the procession is due to move off. As at Westminster Hall, await ladies of the royal household. And members of Queen Elizabeth's staff are also at Westminster Hall, waiting for their mistress to arrive. For so many, their working lives have come to an end this week.
By the center! So march!
And almost silently, the wheels of the gun carriage revolve. And for the last time, the Queen Mother's personal standard is lowered from the flagpole of Clarence House. Mounted police at the head of the procession. Behind the coffin of the gun carriage, the Duke of Edinburgh, Princess Royal, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of York, the Earl of Wessex. And behind them, the younger members of the royal family, Prince Harry, Prince William, Viscount Linley, and Mr. Peter Phillips. As Peter Phillips beside William and Harry, for whom this day must bring back so many poignant memories. Faces say it all. Farewell, they say, and thank you. It has been my joy and my privilege to serve this dear land and its people. The minute guns fire from Green Park. As the gun carriage moves into the battle. This processional route along which she first rode in state as a bridesmaid at a royal wedding in 1922, the year before her own. Lord Timothy Lawrence, Prince Michael of Kent, the Duke of Gloucester, the Duke of Kent, and Daniel Chatto, the husband of Sarah Chatto.